If there's anything that this show has been consistent about, the Africa Zeitgeist show has been consistent about, it's about the fact that protocols by the African Union need to be ratified so that they can eventually be domesticated by local agencies and so on. It's never enough to just have a protocol lying there gathering dust, because there are very many beautiful protocols out there. There's a Maputo Protocol for gender. There's the African Charter, which protects the citizens of the African citizens, and those have been active, and a lot of different projects are being run around it. But there are other protocols that have not seen the light of day, and this was the subject of a meeting that was organized by the African Commission on Human and People's Rights to look specifically at 9 protocols that are under the purview of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, so they could look at why those protocols have not been ratified. We're going to talk about one of them today, but let's just quickly give you an insight into some of the protocols that have been ratified. There's the African Charter that has been ratified by over 50 member states. Now, the African Charter is a charter that protects the citizens of the African people, their family, social protection, and all these things. And that means the African continent and member states are interested in that. Then there's what is called the Maputo Protocol. The Maputo Protocol is also known as the Gender Protocol because it's a protocol that seeks to protect the rights of women. And that has been signed by just a little over 40 member states of the African Union. And it's running, which basically means that member states feel that gender is also a very important part of the conversation. But there are other protocols that have yet to be ratified. And one of them is the Protocol on Social Protection under the purview of the African Commission on Human Rights. But before I get into that, let me just quickly explain to you what the African Commission on Human and People's Rights is. The African Commission on Human and People's Rights is based in the Gambia, and it has been for a number of years now. That is the AU agency or AU organ responsible to helping promote the rights, the human rights and otherwise of African peoples and African citizens. So you'll likely see a lot of communiques on their websites that offer updates on issues to do with human rights and the promotion of human rights. In their week-long mission in Ghana, they had a number of meetings, but one of the meetings which stood out for the Africa Zeitgeist show was this meeting on ratification. So look at exactly why some protocols are offered or rather attract more interest than others. This protocol on social protection for us is quite important because, let's face it, there are a number of African countries that are doing very well on helping protect citizens. We know of schemes in Zambia, we know of schemes in our own Ghana where there's a Social Security National Insurance Trust, SNIT, which offers pensions. You contribute to a pension fund, and at the end, when you turn 55, minimum, when you turn 60, you start receiving your pension every month and so on. Kenya has that kind of pension scheme as well, also has a national health insurance. Ghana has a national health insurance scheme as well. Zambia. There are other countries in North Africa also that have insurance schemes and social protection schemes. So it is not as if African member states are not interested in protecting the citizens. They are. But the thing is, if it were coordinated under the umbrella of the Charter on Social Protection, which is under the purview of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, we want to believe that this would be one that will offer greater impact. Now, here's one of the reasons why. You see, this particular protocol requires member states to develop integrated social protection systems, ensuring that social protection is available, accessible, adequate, affordable, and transparent for all their citizens. That's 4 A's. Available, accessible, adequate, affordable, and transparent. Some of the key provisions include providing a minimum package of essential social protection, expanding protection, and ensuring those with insufficient means receive social assistance. So in Ghana, for example, there's the Livelihood Empowerment Program, which offers little remittances, money to elderly people, for those who are underprivileged. And that kind of, this LEAP thing has been working to a level of success under different governments over the past couple of years. We have a Social Security National Insurance Trust as well, which I spoke to earlier. We have the National Health Insurance Scheme as well, which doesn't mean that all hospitals, for example, are under the National Health Insurance Scheme, but at least the public hospitals that we know, the government hospitals, all are under the National Health Insurance Scheme. These are little ways in which you protect people across the spectrum. So both on the one end who are able to afford and those who are not able to afford all gets a certain level of protection. But at least citizens feel that the taxes they pay for the country to government is being used for something. Now, we know that not all member states of the African Union have a National Health Insurance Trust or have a social protection scheme. We know, for example, that in Ethiopia they're developing a national health insurance scheme. They came to Ghana to benchmark Ghana to look at it a couple of years ago. Countries like South Sudan have also done same, and so on. So the countries are interested in learning from each other, African countries, to see who is doing what and what they can learn from each other and so on. When you look at the national health insurance schemes, for example, the ones that I cited in West Africa, there's Ghana, there's Nigeria. In East Africa, there's Kenya. Then there's also, in the Southern Africa, there's South Africa. And there are other countries that come up every now and then for mention. But when we trickle this down in the context of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, which is the AU agency dedicated to ensuring that some of these charters, some of these protocols are ratified. There's sufficient advocacy and information on these protocols so that member states can begin to do a level of popularization around it. Then you begin to see that there's still a lot of work to be done. Reason for which we feel that we need to highlight this social protection, because this social protection under the African Charter has been signed and ratified by only two. That's 2 AU member states. If countries like Ghana, for example, believe that they can do national health insurance scheme, they can do a social security national insurance trust as far back as the Nkrumah days, and it's been running for decades, why is it not that they would not deem it fit and important to sign and ratify the AU's Charter on Social Protection? For us, it makes sense that if you have national institutions dedicated to protecting individuals for health and for social protection at the national level, you might want to scale this up, not just at the regional level, but the continental level as well. Ghana is a pivotal member of the ECOWAS integration project, together with Nigeria, Senegal, and all the other member states. And Ghana looks at its commitments to protecting the ECOWAS integration project very seriously. Reason for which there's a lot of conversations around freedom of movement, the making sure that citizens who are in this country from other West African countries are here and they can earn certain benefits, but not necessarily, obviously not at the expense of the citizens here and so on and so forth. But at least we believe that we are a very open society and we welcome migrants and we welcome, especially from West Africa and other member states who are here, and we'll give them necessary respect and protection and so on. So if we can have that kind of reputation, as countries like Uganda, for example, are known for protecting migrants, protecting refugees and all these things, reason for which the African Humanitarian Agency, for example, the African Union, will be established in Kampala because of the reputation it has gained and the level of infrastructure that it will put in place to this effect. And Ghana also has this reputation. I want to believe that it makes sense that Ghana would want to put all the necessary efforts into signing the Charter on social protection as well. And there's a lot of benefits that would accrue around this, the signature, because the social protection will come for people in the event of the death of a breadwinner in the family for funerals. It will also come for women. It will also come from youth, ensuring that youth get access to protecting themselves for retirement much earlier than just when they're in their 40s or in their 50s. But they start at an early age to think about, putting money aside and so on. And also for the disabled. And so when you read the protocol, there's a whole level of protection that is there to ensure that the African peoples are protected. So for us on this show, we feel that if there's any takeaway from the African Commission on Human Rights ratification meeting that was held, it is to say that let us push our own country of Ghana and every country of AU member state out there watching this, any citizen out there, ensure that you're putting pressure on your parliamentarians, on stakeholders, on the policymakers to make sure that they take very seriously the protection of human rights and the protection of African peoples. Because if we are to continue protecting ordinary citizens, ordinary Africans in the way that we do at the national level, whether it's through the health insurance scheme or through the social protection scheme and the SNIT, then we want to believe that this needs to be escalated, scaled up to the regional, scaled up to the continental, so that all AU member states are signing and are ratifying the Social Protection Charter. It needs to happen. It needs to happen not like yesterday. It needs to happen now, so that every African begins to feel the impact of some of these AU protocols. The AU's African Charter of African Commission on Human and People's Rights has been doing a lot of great work on ensuring that the rights of African peoples are protected. But they need to obtain that support from ordinary individuals like ourselves who look at some of these things and say, look, we need to underline, stress these protocols for ratification by our parliamentarians, by our legislature, by our duty bearers, and so on. And this is one of the reasons why we are here today on this edition, speaking to you in this manner, because we feel that it is not enough to be passionate about it. It's also to have a call out to the people, the duty bearers who need to take responsibility on some of these things. And so in closing, I just really want to say that if you are out there and you feel that you are not adequately protected, or there's some rights missing, or there's some issues missing around the protection of your social and human and people's rights, let us know, because in our capacity as facilitators in the media, we can raise awareness of this, and then also, as consistent with the mandate of Africa's Zeitgeist Show, of experiencing and talking about the AU already as a global player, consistent with Aspiration 7 of Agenda 2063, we feel duty-bound to let more and more people know that protocols like these exist, meetings like these exist, and therefore it's important for us to talk about it. It's important to let you know what's going on with some of these meetings, and it's important for us as individuals to have that responsibility to also read up on some of these protocols, and then begin to ask our parliamentarians why they don't feel it is important enough to ratify in Parliament. At the end of the day, our parliament's not the ones who are supposed to represent us. If we believe they are, then let us be duty-bound and do the right thing. Let's do the needful and let them know that they need to also do the right thing by signing and ratifying very, very important continental protocols like this African Charter protocol, which protects all of us, all African citizens, social protection, the elderly, the young, the vulnerable, the weak, women, families, so that we get the African continent to the place it deserves to be, a place where the continent is resilient and we are all speaking truth to power on our capabilities for all, for the youth, for women, for the vulnerable, for the disabled, and for whoever else is this spectrum. My name is E.K. Benson Jr. Happy to be coming your way on another edition of the Africa Zeitgeist Show. Find us on Facebook, Africa Zeitgeist Show, YouTube, Africa Zeitgeist Show, and Instagram, Africa Zeitgeist Show as well. And as always, thank you to the production team. Chief, thank you for your support, and thank you for following us. Like and subscribe our Africa Zeitgeist Show YouTube link, and follow us on Instagram and all our social media channels. We look forward to hearing from you as well. We want to hear what you also have to say on some of these things so that we can tailor them accordingly and lift the continent to where it needs to be. Thank you for taking time out to listen and watch us. Have yourselves a great day. My name is E.K. Benson Jr., your host. Goodbye.